as we get closer and closer to this wedding. Lizzie, good to see you. Michael, good to see you. Good to see everybody checking in on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. Glad that you are all here for this Wedding Wednesday. If you've been thinking that you are too old for love, tonight's going to be a good conversation, and we're going to talk about that right now tonight. So we have 2 more Wedding Wednesdays tonight, and then next Wednesday will be the final Wednesday before the wedding actually happens. The wedding is going down on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm glad that you've been here. It's been an honor to share this journey, this process with you. This week has been special because not only are we preparing, putting, final touches and things like that on the wedding, but we had an opportunity the other day, this weekend, to go and hang out with some married people. And so one of the things I want to talk about tonight, as we talk about not being too old, there's some other sub points that I wanted to talk about. And one of them being the atmosphere that you put yourself in. Why? Because the atmosphere that you're in, and it impacts the way that you think. And so we were out this weekend. We had this opportunity to go out and hang out with people that they were celebrating their 50th year, their 50th wedding anniversary. So they've been married for 50 years, and they were celebrating their wedding. And so we had the opportunity to be there. And one of the things I said to my bride-to-be was that I said, one of the best ways to ensure having a long marriage is to hang around people that have done it, right? Get around people that are in a particular, have had a particular level of success. Be around people that are celebrating what you want. If you want to have something, get around those people, right? They were there celebrating 50 years. And as I was in the room with a lot of older people, a lot of people that were much older than me, I was looking around at how they were interacting with each other, right? All the older couples, and they have some seasoned years to them. I was looking at how they interact and how they were close to one another. They're holding hands and all the things that the ways that they interacted, being older people, right? They're in later stages of life, but they were still experiencing love. This couple that we were there celebrating, they were there having 50 years, but they weren't at the end. They weren't thinking that, okay, 50 years, this is it for us. No, they're thinking about more life, right? They celebrated having 50 years, but they're looking at having more life. And so they were telling stories. They were telling stories, and other people were telling stories about their love life and how they love and how they interact and the experience, how they impact the lives of other people with their love. And I'm listening to these stories, and I'm taking mental notes, because when you want to have something, you need to get around people that know how to get there. I was talking to my grandmother. She called me, and Grandma, if you're watching this today, I'm glad that you're here. She called me the other day because she actually had watched one of the Wedding Wednesdays, and she was telling me, that I had done a great job, and I appreciated that. And so before we got off the phone, my grandmother says to me, my grandfather and her, they'd been married for 75 years. And she said to me, she said, I hope you and your bride, I pray that you have 75 years. I hope that you can catch up with us. Right. And I'm starting to do the math. I'm like, well, that's going to put us well over 100, right, into the 120s. So, we laughed about that. But the fact that she was saying, I want you to have something that is sustained. I don't want it to be shortchanged. I don't want it to be short-lived. I want it to be something that is sustained. And so she was blessing us with that. And she said, remember what Grandpa said, that you have the opportunity to have a long relationship by continuing to show up. And so she was just giving some elderly wisdom, some wisdom from her experience on how to have long life, how to have a long, rich relationship. And so in the past week, that's been a big part of the wedding thoughts that I've been having, that we can have something greater. And even at this stage in life, right? I'm not in my 20s, right? I'm not even in my 30s, but there's still an opportunity, right? You can be looking at your life thinking, well, am I too old? Or you might just be telling yourself, that you're too old. But are you? Are you really too old to have the experience of your life? Are you too old to go after your dream? Like, is that really the truth? Is that the truth that you want to hang your hat on? That you say, okay, I'm too old to have this experience. So even though I'm still living, I'm giving up on my dreams. I'm giving up on the possibilities. Because that's what we're saying. When you say I'm too old, what you're saying is, even though I'm still alive, I'm telling myself that the possibilities for my life have ended. And I want to just challenge you tonight that that's not the case. Because here's the deal. At any point in your life, you decide to dream, you decide that you have a hope, you have aspiration, you have something that you want. When you're looking at your life, you're going to judge it and say whether or not you believe that you can have it. And if you say, no, I'm too old, that's going to shut down all possibilities right there. Because from this day forward, all you're going to ever do is get older. And so if you think that you're too old today, then guaranteed you're going to be too old tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And you have now forever cut off the possibilities, because the one thing, as long as we keep living, the one thing that's going to happen is we're going to get older. And so when you say you're too old, you're cutting off these possibilities of hope. And I'm looking at people. I've had the opportunity lately to be around some people that are later in life, into their 70s and into their 80s and into their 90s, and how they're still talking about things that they want to do. They're still dreaming. Some of them are still going out on dates. My grandma, 95 years old, just recently, she wanted to buy a car. She bought a car. Right? She wants to still continue to live while she's breathing. And some of us, we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever it may be, and we're saying, well, I'm too old. I was driving down the street and I was thinking, and this passage of scripture, this Bible story came to mind, and I was thinking about this couple in the Bible. Their names were Abraham and Sarah. And you may have heard of them, you may not. But they were later in life. God had promised them that they were going to have a child, and they were late in life when it actually went down. Sarah was 90 years old. Abraham, her husband, was 100 when they had the baby. And I was just driving down the street after being around a lot of people that are older than me, my senior, and I was thinking about how God doesn't operate on our timetable. God is not limited to what we think about our lives. And now for me, no, if I'm 100, no, I don't want a baby. No, that wouldn't be me. But Abraham and Sarah, that worked for them. I'm thinking Sarah is 90 years old. First of all, they're getting busy at 90 years old, and she gets pregnant. Whoo, Sarah, God blessed you for real, right? But think about that in reality, like that experience. Now, she clearly thought she was too old, because when the message came to her that she was going to get pregnant, she laughed. I mean, she wasn't believing it. Now, think about your life. What is going on in your life? What hope, what dream, what thing that you would really love are you thinking about that you're saying you're too old for? But it would wake up your whole life if you really made a move on it. Like, what thing do you know? You're like, I would love to fill in the blank. I would love to travel the world. My mom, she's into her 70s, and we've been talking about this lately, that she's 5 years from now, when she's 75, my mom said, when I'm 75, I want to do the world cruise, right? So she wants to travel and cruise for a whole entire year and go to like 70 different countries and see all these different places. She wants to cruise for a year when she's 75. That's the gift that she wants. She's like, I want the world cruise. Well, she knows she would love that experience. She believes that she would love that experience. And the one thing she's not about to do now is tell herself that she is too old to travel the world. No, she's like, no, I've served in ministry. I've served the church. I've served my family. I've served in the community. I've served people with my life. I would like to travel the world and see the world when I'm 75. My mom wants that. Yeah, and she's like, and I want my children to pay for it. So boom, guess what? 75. I already know what gift she's getting. My mom is going on this cruise in 5 years. This is going to happen. Lord willing, as long as the Lord puts breath in my mom's lungs, my mom's going on this trip. Right. And so like we're sitting here in life and we're missing out on opportunities because we're telling ourselves we're too old. And God is saying, but I'm the giver of life, and I keep giving you breath to do something with. What if the greatest experience of love and intimacy and romance is just waiting for you to wake up and realize that now is the perfect time? What do you mean now is the perfect time, Brian? I mean, now is the perfect time because prior to this point, you were immature. Prior to this point, you thought you knew everything. Prior to this point, you might have been selfish. Prior to this point, you were not all that you are right now. See, here's the deal about right now. Right now, you are the sum total of every experience, of every thought that you've ever had in your life. Right now, everything that you've ever experienced has brought you to right now. So you're made up of all of the past. Now, but guess what? The thing about right now that is so amazing and wonderful is that right now, while you are the sum total of every experience that you've ever had in life, every thought, like that all has met you now. But the other part of what meets you right now is that every possibility that exists has also converged upon this moment right now. And it presents opportunity. Every possibility that exists has met you in all of your full experience right now. And it presents you with an opportunity. The wild thing that we do as people, we think about how things can go wrong. We think about the negative. We think for many people, why it won't work. That's what we think about. Holly says this, it's crazy you're talking about this. I'm sitting in a parking lot waiting on my daughter to get something from the store. We just left a home buying workshop. I've been worried so bad about that it's too late. See, look, every possibility has met Holly in this moment. And not only that, but the message has met her. See, because we think it's too late. Now, Holly has to know, Holly, you have to know right now, this message has met you here right now to tell you it's not too late. Because here's the deal. If you think it's too late and you don't make the move and you keep living 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, guess what will have happened? Instead of you having the experience for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, instead of you having 10 years of experience, you will have 10 years of what if I would have? I wish I would have. If I would have started back then, I would have enjoyed it for 10 years. If I would have made the move then. See, either in 10 years, let's just say that God blesses you to have 10 more years of life, 20 more years of life. You fill in the blank. How many more years of life do you want? You put it in there. When would you like to live? How long would you like to live? How many more years would you like to live? Go ahead. You can put it in the chat, right? Think about it. How many more years would you like to live? All right. And you say, okay, I'm 47, I'm 50, I'm 60. I want to live 20, 30, 40, 50 more years. My grandma, she would say, oh, I want to live to be 100. Okay. Whatever the number. The thing that you're doubting today, between today and that number, how much of that could you have enjoyed if you didn't think that you were too old? All right, you're 42. Holly, me and Holly, we're going to just talk about it, right? Holly says, I'm 42. I want to live long enough to keep riding horses safely. But here's what I know about Holly. Holly's riding horses now. So she's not missing the moments now, but those moments she gets to build on. Right? And so if you don't make the move today, or like if you don't make the move today, then you're not going to have the experience today, and you're waiting to start your experience. And I want to encourage you and challenge you to reframe your life and think about every moment that's led up till now as the moments that have built you up to be courageous enough to take your next step. Stop thinking that everything in your past has been about keeping you from moving forward and that you're too old and that, like life has gotten away from you. No. You've just been becoming brave. Let's reframe who you are. You've just become seasoned. You've become experienced. You have gone through lessons that have now equipped you right now, because after all that you have been through, you still have a dream. After all you've been through, after the ups, the downs, after all you've been through, you still have a dream. There's still something inside of you. I mean, listen, I'm pretty certain in saying this, you're probably not 90 years old wanting a baby. Okay? Like, that happened for Sarah. She was 90 years old. Sarah got a baby. You're probably not 90 wanting a baby, but God did that for her. And I believe that God not only did that for Sarah and Abraham, who was 100, I believe that God did that for them, for us. So that today, on this very date, we can have this conversation and ask, well, what's too hard for God to do in your life at the age that you are right now? I mean, is it outside of the realm of God for God to give you the ideas, the thoughts, the pathway, the instruction to be able to have that thing that's in your heart? Look, reality is, I would not be getting married. I would not be having a wedding if I believed the lie that I was telling myself, in part, that I was getting you. I mean, you're getting older. Like, listen, I'm not like, look, I'm 47. I'm not, 147. But in my mind, you can start thinking some things. You can start thinking, oh, I'm too old to get in shape. I'm too old to start exercising. I'm too old to start my business. I'm too old. Yeah. We're not talking that anymore. You are the perfect age to launch into the rest of your life. So and this is where sometimes, and you might not fall into this category, but I'm going to say it for those that do. Sometimes people call themselves believers. Sometimes they call themselves Christians. But then some people go to the next level and they call themselves a believer. Now, if you are a believer, meaning that you believe in God and God's promises for your life and what God says in his word, if you are a believer, believers act different. Believers move differently. And so we are if we are believers, believers are action people. You can't be a believer and just sit on the sideline and tell God, while God is giving you breath, I'm too old. God, I know you're giving me breath. I'm too old. You still have the dream. You still have the desire. You still want the thing. And you're saying you're too old. My friend, make up your mind. Make up your mind. What do you want? Because here's what I know. When you make your mind up and then you make the move, then you take the action, then things change. Here's what the reality is. The reality is that we use an excuse like I'm too old to hide behind because there's really some greater doubt that's going on. It's really not an age thing. It's not an age thing. It's not really the age thing, because we know people, like, can you find one person that's older than you are that's doing the thing that you dream about doing? Can you find one person that's done it? Or will you be the first? Right? Like if you want to take action on the things that are in your control, then that means you are saying, I want to, I'm going to, I must do something. Like, let's not overcomplicate it. There are things that are in our control right now. See, I wanted to think, oh, I'm too old. I wanted to use that excuse a little bit, but really at the heart of it, I was thinking, what if in my past, the failure that was in my past, what if that revisits me now at this age? I don't want to start over at this age. I don't want to take the risk. What if things go wrong? I don't know how much time I have left. See, what the reality is that when we're thinking I'm too old, what that is that's a thought that's already coupled itself with other negative thoughts that already exist in your mind. Reality is everything reproduces after its own kind. And so this limiting belief that you're too old has already found companions in your mind, companion thoughts in your mind on why the thing that you're dreaming about won't work. You're already thinking about it. I'm too old is just one of other thoughts that you're already having. If we're being real, hey Tanil, if you're being honest, that's not the only negative thought you have. See, I had the thought, I started to find more thoughts and make up more thoughts. I said, okay, all right, I'm getting a little older. It's kind of risky. Oh, but what if in this relationship, what if this relationship goes bad? And what if it just doesn't work like ones in the past? Oh, that could hurt. I could be vulnerable. I could be hurt again. What if this doesn't work? What if she changes up on me after a few years and she's not this same person that I have risen in love with? What if that happens? So I'm thinking now I'm starting to pull out negative. I'm starting to pull out the negatives that can happen. So when you have that, I'm too old. Yeah. Start searching your life because there are other negatives. There are other limiting beliefs that's coupling itself with. That thought has friends in your mind. So let's expose that. Why? Because when you expose those thoughts that are in the darkness of your life, those things are robbing you of life. And so in the Bible, in the kingdom, like, no. We are here to bring light to darkness. Even in our own minds, there's darkness in your minds. Those negative thoughts, that's not light, that's darkness. That's what wants to keep you limited. So no, tonight, we're exposing that. Those negative thoughts, those thoughts are against God. Those thoughts are the enemy of God and God's purpose for your life, because there's something about your life that the Bible says that when you do your good works and let your light so shine before others, they'll see your good works and glorify your Father that's in heaven. And so you have a responsibility, you have a job, you have an assignment to fulfill here on the earth. See, I don't know if anybody told you this, but your life is not yours. You are an ambassador for God. You are here on this earth right now as a representation of God, meaning that you show God to the world again and again and again and again. You're a representation. You might not like it. You might not believe it. You might not believe in God. You're still a representation of God. And God simply wants you to have this image and likeness and understanding of who you are. He said, I made you in my image and likeness. God said this. Why? He said, because I've placed a treasure inside of you. I've placed something inside of you that I want to be revealed to the world. And then people will see me because they see you. Think about it. I've had the honor of working with women, right? Oh, I'm too old. They're too old. They're too old to, they told me they're too old to ride horses. I'm too fat to ride horses. I'm too old to fall in love. They would say I'm too old to fall in love. And then I would correct them. I'm like, you don't want to fall in love anyway. You want to rise in love. So let's scratch that. Don't even fall in love. Rise in love. So here's the thing. I've been told people have told me their limiting beliefs. I'm like, no, that's not how this is going to work. Like, and then the person gets on the horse. I'm too afraid to ride a horse, someone has told me before. And they were too afraid to walk into the barn because of the horses. They were too afraid. They were too afraid to walk in. She was standing outside the barn crying because she was afraid to walk into the barn. And then I walked her to the edge of the barn where the doors were open. And I said, okay, let's look into the barn. I said, do you see anything to be afraid of right now? I said, do you feel like you're safe? She said, yeah, she said, yeah, I don't. I said, is there anything that's going to harm you right now? No. I said, well, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid that they're going to bite me. I'm afraid they're going to step on me. I said, okay, that's fine. That's cool. You're afraid of that. I said, do you see a horse out? No, I don't see a horse out. I said, can a horse bite you from here? No. Can it step on you from here? No. I said, how about we take a step inside? Okay. So we take a few steps and we're looking around. The horses are in their stalls. I said, okay, you're good? Yeah. All right, let's walk in some more. And so here's what happened. This woman that was afraid of a horse biting her or stepping on her, I said, listen, that's a real possibility. That is something that can happen. A horse can step on you. It can bite you. But do you see any horses out right now? No, I don't. Okay, well, let's step in. So what we started to do, we started to expose the fear. And then we started to see how irrational it was because there wasn't a horse that was out able to step on or bite her. And so we start walking in, right? We start walking in. We start taking another step. And she's rising. This is why I say rise in love. You don't fall in love because falling means you go from a higher place to a lower place with no coordinated effort. Rising in love means you are going to take calculated steps to go from a lower place to a higher place. This is why rising in love is way better, right? Because now you're making a decision that you're going higher. So we're rising in love. We take a step. I'm walking with her. I didn't just send her into the barn. I'm walking with her. And so we're taking steps. And her confidence with each step is starting to grow. The reason that your confidence has not been growing and you think that you're too old is because you've thought I'm too old, and therefore you have not taken an action. Therefore, you can have no growth. You can't grow without the step. That you're thinking that, oh, I'll become more confident, like as I sit here and think about this. No, that's not how it works. No. The Bible says by faith. Faith without works is dead. By faith. And what is faith? Faith is when you take action. Faith is when you see something in your life, in your future ahead of you, and then through action right now, you start to take hold of what it is that you have seen. That's what faith is. Faith without works, Bible says, nah, that means nothing. It is not alive. Life happens with action. When you see something, by faith, you begin to move. You've probably heard the story of Moses and all the slaves that were in Egypt. It was by faith. See, Moses saw a free people. He saw the vision of people being free, but it was only by faith that when he went to Pharaoh and then let my people go, and he's going through that whole process. And then it was only by faith, because that was one level of faith. He went to Pharaoh. They were back and forth. Finally, Pharaoh says, okay, the people, you guys go, get out of here. But then the people who had been slaves for 400 years, by faith, even though they were told to leave, by faith, there's had to be a switch in their mind, because they were slaves that were now becoming free people. They had to switch from slavery mindset to free people mindset. And what had to happen? They had to move. They could not be free people and stay in Egypt. They could not be free and stay in the environment that they were so used to. In other words, you cannot be the free person that you desire to be and stay in this place that has you captive. You've been captive to fear too long. You've been captive to the idea that you're too old to love, to travel, to experience, because that's the bottom line. We can put any name on it: love, travel, start a business, podcast, whatever. We can put any name and picture on it. The bottom line is, you've told yourself that you cannot have the experience. But if we search your heart, you still want the experience. If I'm not telling the truth, just put it in the comments. Say, you're lying. I really don't want the experience that I'm dreaming about. I just dream about it. I don't want it though. No, you want it. And they're like, if you believe that there's a God, then you also know that there's an enemy to that God. Right? You also have to know that. Even science will tell you that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Right? So we know that. And that's why, here's some encouragement for you. Again, we're going to look back into your past. Think about your past. Think about everything you've been through. Think about all of your experiences. Think about everything that has been positioned in your life that has opposed you. You can take a highlight reel snapshot of all the opposing forces to you. It could be your gender, it could be your race, it could be your economic status, it could be your family dynamics, it could be mistakes that you've made. You have a whole hit list of things that have opposed you, even in your mind, right? So since that's the case, now let's take that scientific explanation and put that in place. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. In other words, for as much as it is opposing you, that's the goodness on the other side that awaits you. See, you've been discouraged. You've been talking yourself out of the goodness of the experience because of the opposing force, and you've been co-signing with the opposing force, believing that the opposing force has the final say. But I want to tell you that for as much as you've been opposed, that's how much you know the greater thing is on the other side. There has to be, like, it's scientific. It's not up to us. Scientifically has been proven. If there's this opposing force on the other side, there has to be something just equally as great. So again, I ask the question, why would you continue to co-sign with unbelief? Why would you tell yourself, and not even yourself, why would you tell God that the breath that is within your lungs is not enough for you to have the experience? Think about it. Come on, let's be honest again. Let's be really open here. Do you think about something, an experience, and smile about it? Like, let's not overcomplicate this. Do you have a thought that occurs in your mind that when you think about it, you start pondering on it, it makes you smile? It makes you happy. Okay, yes. So yes, there it is. Yes. So now we're admitting yes. Okay. So what is it about that? Of course, right? So what is it about that thing, that experience that makes you that just makes you say, makes you smile. Like don't just pass by that, right? I believe that emotions, they're very telling, right? We know sometimes we cry, that's telling us something, right? Sometimes we shiver, sometimes we like there are so many different expressions, but sometimes we smile. And I think because we have the ability to smile, and we probably smile a lot, or maybe depending on your personality, you might not smile as much. But because smiles can be so common, we see a lot of smiles all around, we can overlook smiles. But I believe in my heart that a smile, when it pertains to your dreams, your aspirations, your vision, I believe it's very telling. Because when you can have an idea and a thought in your right now that shifts you into such a positive place that you begin to smile, then you have found something that has the capacity to heal your life. This is straight out the Bible. You're like, Brian, what are you talking about? Great. I'm glad that you asked me. I'm going to tell you. The Bible says that a merry heart is like good medicine. But but sorrow, that sorrowful, broken spirit, it dries the bones. Okay. But let's stick with this. A merry heart is like good medicine. You've thought about something that shifted you into a smile. A smile is evidence of a merriness in your heart. And that smile and the merriness of your heart has let you know that there is good medicine now being activated in your being. Isn't that so good? Isn't that exciting for you to think that the thing that you're dreaming about, the thing you talked yourself out of, and you said you were too old for, but you're still dreaming about it, that very thought is good medicine for you. What is medicine for? Medicine is for the purpose of healing. So when you have a thought that causes you to smile, it activates merriness in your heart. You are activating healing. Healing from what? Healing from the doubt, healing from the unbelief, healing from the pain, healing from the failure, healing from the disappointment. That is healing. God has given you something that is resident in your body, in your mind, that is bringing healing to your life. It's not just a dream. It's not just an experience. I was with these older people and 50 years of marriage, and they were telling their story, and occasionally they would start to cry a little bit as they were recapping their story. 50 years of life. They were talking about their children. I had the opportunity of sitting with the gentleman that we were honoring. So, and I was sitting with them, and people were all around, and I was just sitting there with him. I said, can you tell me, I said, what was one of the most memorable moments that you had in your marriage? And he sat there for a moment. And when I watched, as he sat there, I watched his eyes dance back and forth as I imagine he's going through the catalog of experiences that he's had. I was watching his eyes move as if he was looking at the experiences and thinking about them. And then after a moment, he had thought about it. He said to me, the moment that stands out to me the most is when we were having our first child. And he starts to tell me the story of how he and his wife, they were going to the Lamaze classes together, and they were going through the whole process, and he's learning how to breathe. And he said back in those days, men weren't really in the delivery room. And he says it was just kind of becoming a thing. And he said, so that was new. And so I'm going to these classes and I'm learning. And so she's getting close to the delivery time. And he said, but she wasn't dilating. And so we kept going to the doctor, and she wasn't dilating, and so she wasn't dilating. And so ultimately she had to get a C-section in order for them to get the baby. And he was telling me, he said, I wasn't able to be in for the C-section. He said, but the whole process of being together and learning together and being together in that whole process, he said, it stood out to me. He said, that was one of my greatest memories, that time when we were building and preparing for this child to come into the world. He only could tell me that story 50 years later because at one point in his life, he took action. Why do I tell you that? The reason I tell you that is because you will only be able to tell the story, or the story will only be able to be told about you if you take action. There's a story. Like we are living stories. Right? Your life story, do you know you still qualify for a pivot? You still qualify for a next move. You still qualify for a new experience. You still qualify to start over. And you know, if you've been around me, you know why I say start over. But if you haven't been around me, let me explain. I use the word start over because you today have the opportunity to stand in a position of power on top of every experience of your past, every thought that's ever limited you. You can start today for the rest of your life. You start today when you decide, I'm going to have the experience, I'm going to take action. What you are doing is you're saying, I am starting right now in a position of power over everything that used to be over me. Every belief that used to limit me, I'm going to start. If I start today, I'm now taking back control of my life and saying, no, I'm going to operate in power, and I'm starting the rest of my life in a position of power over it. I'm over it. I'm over the limiting beliefs. I'm over that. I'm over this idea that I'm too old. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm young enough to start. Right? You're old enough to know that you're young enough to start over. That's where you're at right now. That's where you're at. That's what you're thinking. I've lived my life. I've made it to this point. I'm the oldest I've ever been right now. And yet, I'm the youngest that I'll ever be. That's where you're at. I'm giving you actual dialogue that you can have with yourself to help yourself get going. You can say to yourself right now, I'm the oldest I've ever been right now. And I'm the youngest I'll ever be. This is the youngest you'll ever be. Every moment that passes, the youngest you'll ever be. What are you going to do with the rest of your story? What will you do? Are you really okay? You're not okay. I'm not asking you, are you okay? You're not okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and make the shift in who you are, because you've been a person that's not okay. You're not okay with where you are right now. That's why you're still dreaming. You're the type of person that is living in a moment, and you are inviting the conflict of change into your life because you still dare to dream. You still dare to envision a new experience. Do you know how daring you must be to think that? So you're saying, I am going to invite conflict into my life because when I dream, what I'm doing is I'm disturbing my right now because I'm thinking of something greater. How about that? Look at you thinking of something greater. How dare you be living in this moment and dreaming of something greater? Yeah, like Tanil says, I'm too creative to stop dreaming. That's Bible. That's Bible truth. In the beginning, God created. God said, I've made you in my image and likeness. You, as long as you are still breathing, you are too creative because you are made in God's image and likeness. You're too creative to stop dreaming. Now, there's too much in you. Every day you have an experience, it adds to your creative capacity. You're not too old to start dreaming. You're not too old to continue dreaming. No. You're not too old. Think about it. When you start talking to yourself differently, I'm telling you this because in a matter of days, I'll walk down the aisle and a dream is going to be fulfilled and a dream is going to begin. See, that's the thing about the dream. The thing that you're dreaming doesn't end when it happens. It begins something else. Your dream is activating you into activity. Your dream, when you start moving towards it, your dream is going to start opening up to you more. You've been wanting more in your life. You're wondering why there's not more in your life. It's because you just haven't taken action. It's because you're not moving. And once you start moving, then you'll start to see more. Again, go back to the Bible. The Bible says that God says that if you are faithful with a few, then I'll make you ruler over many. Meaning you have to do something with what you have in order to have more. The Bible says that God gives seed to the sower, meaning you have to let go. You have to do something with the seed possibilities that you have now in order to receive more seed. This is my favorite illustration in the world. This idea of seed sowing. It is the most incredible thought to me. And the day that I put to words that we are not only taking care of seeds, we're taking care of orchards. It changed my whole life, and I hope that it changes yours. You don't have a seed of possibility. You have an orchard of possibilities. And you go through the process. When you plant one apple seed, you take one apple seed, you put it in the ground. That one apple seed produces what? An apple tree. That apple tree, when it is healthy and bearing fruit, what does it do? It produces exponentially more apples. And that's great, but that's not all. Those apples that are hanging from this healthy tree have more seeds inside of them. So one little seed produced one tree that has many apples, and inside of those apples are more seeds. And when those seeds, hundreds of them, one seed produced a tree that produced apples that have hundreds of seeds. When those hundreds of seeds make it into the ground, your one seed didn't just produce one tree, it ends up producing an orchard. This is why you have to do something with the possibilities. Don't just wake up with possibilities and go to sleep with the same possibilities. Oh, it's possible that I can start a business. It's possible that I can write a book. It's possible that I can get a date. It's possible. Yeah. It's possible, but don't wake up with possibilities and go to sleep with possibilities. No, do something. You and I, we are here to exhaust the possibility. You want to wake up and say, okay, it's possible that today I could become healthier, and then do something about it. What are you going to do? Today, I'm going to be intentional about drinking more water. You did something with the possibility. Then maybe you're like, oh, you know what? I've been doing so good just drinking more water. Man, it's possible that I could drink more water and go for a walk. See, when you start here's the deal. When you start having ideas and then you pick one and then you move on it. Today I'm drinking water. Okay, this whole drinking water thing, this is normal. All right, now. Okay, now I'm going to take a walk. And you start, just commit. Come on, just commit. Be committed. Commit to your dream. Commit to the experience. I'll let you in a little bit. Like right now, I'm processing. I'm working with someone, talking with them about a trip that I want to take. Not that I want to take, a trip that I want to coordinate in 2026 to celebrate the lives of people who I've been working with, and their lives have been transformed. You've heard me talking about the women's movement, right? All right, we're going to build the world's strongest sisterhood. We're building it. And so as it starts to happen, there's already in my mind a trip that I want to take and coordinate in 2026 for the women that are part of the sisterhood, for women to celebrate their life has changed over the past year, right? And so I'm already thinking about it, already planning it. I need to take action on it. I didn't want it to just be a thought. I'm like, no, I see I see it happening. I see lives being changed. I want to commemorate this moment with a trip that is unbelievable. And so I'm starting to ask questions, and how do we do it? And what are the details? And so I'm moving on it, and I'll start sharing more about it so that those that hear it and they say, yeah, I'm down with him. That's my coach. That's my trainer. That's my leader. Like, I'm down. He's helping me change my life. I want to go. I want to be a part. But you have to do something. You have to take action. You have to be willing to put yourself out there to say, hey, this is my dream. And maybe you don't tell everybody, but you need to tell somebody. Somebody needs to be in your corner, and you need to have somebody you can dream with. See, I went and I was there at this 50th wedding anniversary, and guess what was normal in that environment? It was normal in that environment for 50 years of marriage to exist. See, sometimes the reason your dreams get shot down is because you're in environments with people they don't even know how to, they can't even fathom what you're talking about. You're on another level. So they don't get it. They don't get what you're talking about. They don't get it. But if I am in love and I want a healthy, strong marriage, and I get around some people that have been married for 50 years, guess what I can talk about with them? I'm like, listen, I want my marriage to last and be strong 50 years from now. I still want to be celebrating. Like, there are people that's probably been married 50 years and they can't stand each other, right? They don't want to do anything together. They're just kind of living life around each other. No, I don't want that. These people, 50 years, they're hugging each other and little smooches here, and they're having a good time, smiling at each other, looking at each other's eyes. I'm like, no, that's healthy. That's healthy. So 50 years in, you can be 50 years in and it still be healthy. So what you want, you need to get into the right environment. The seed possibility of your life needs an environment that will help it grow. You hang around people that don't dream, what are they going to talk to you about? They're going to talk to you about why you can't have what you're dreaming about, because that's their experience. There are people in my life right now, they know if they talk to me about their dream, we're going to sit together, we're going to talk, and within a few minutes, their dream is going to start to grow. Because I'm going to encourage their dream, and I'm going to have a different perspective, and I'm going to say, well, have you thought about this? I see what you're saying. What do you think? What if you did this? What if, open it up? I had women tell me, Brian, I want to lose 100 pounds. I'm like, yeah, that's great. What else? I want to have a baby. Great. What else? I actually want to have 2 babies. Great. So it's not really just about you losing 100 pounds, is it? No. I want to have a baby. I want to have 2 babies. I want to be able to walk into the room and put on this certain kind of nightgown and it fit a certain kind of way. And I want to feel super confident. And I want my muscles to feel strong. And when my husband touches me, I want to feel firm. And okay, great. See, here it is. When you find, and let's wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up here. When you find the smile maker, experience, dream, vision in your life, the thing that makes you smile, when you find that, start asking yourself questions about it. Start asking yourself, what else? Why do you want that? What will that do for you? How will that change you? Start digging into it. Don't just let it be like, oh, don't let it be the surface level. No. Go ahead and take it deep. You're all in anyway. Just go all in with it. Start asking yourself things that really make you smile. I would tell you to do this. Do what the Bible says. To write the vision and make it plain. And so when you start writing, oh, I want to get married. What else? I don't just want to be married. I want to be in an intimate relationship where I trust and where I'm faithful and where we have quality time together and we look at each other. And when we have dinner, we hold hands and we pray and we do Bible study. And if I'm feeling good, he prays for me. And even if I'm sick, he prays for me. If I call him, like he'll listen to me. Like keep going. Get it all. Get the vision. See it. Get it so good that it makes you just smile and like you're super excited about it, like, oh, this is amazing. This will change my whole life. Because in order to have that, you must become that person. You must become that person that has that. And today, at the age that you are, you're at the perfect age to start becoming the person that you want to be, that has the experiences that you want to have. You're the perfect age. Today, you're the perfect age to start becoming that person that has it. You want finances to not be an issue in your life? Okay, start becoming today that person where finances isn't an issue for them. Which means you got to think differently. You need to start thinking bigger numbers. If I ask you for $10 and I say, well, how can I get $10? You'd probably give me several ways to get $10 if I needed $10 right now. But what if I asked you about $1 million? What about 10 million? What about 100 million? See, when you start asking yourself better questions, you'll start looking for different answers. Stop asking yourself for $100 questions. Like, don't ask yourself $100 questions. Ask yourself $10,000 questions. Ask yourself, if I had to make $10,000 a day, what would I do? If that's your thing. If you want to know how to have the most rich and intimate relationship, ask yourself, how can I have the most intimate and rich relationship where we have conversations that are engaging, where we consider one another, where we appreciate one another, where we speak to each other in a certain kind of dialogue. When I wanted to become the type of husband that could touch his wife in a way that was healing and therapeutic and transformational, as a young man in college, I was like 19, but I knew I wanted to become a husband that could touch his wife in a healing way. I started to ask myself, how could I do it? And then I found out I could go to massage therapy school. And so then I asked myself those questions, and then I went to massage therapy school because one day in my future, I wanted to be that husband. And so now in my hands, I have the technical capability of being able to orchestrate a massage. I have the mental know-how. I have the technical skills. I have the resources. I have the massage tables. I have the oils. I have all the stuff. And I have the insight on where to go for more education. Why? Because when I was a young man, I started to think those questions. So I wanted to learn. And then I started learning. Now I have the capabilities. So it's on my husband resume. I'm a professional toucher. Right? That's on my resume. I'm a professional toucher. I'm a professional massage therapist. That's on my resume. And with a list of other things. But you have to ask yourself certain questions. And so, like, that's what I always like to call myself. Like, I'm a professional toucher. Like, people pay me for this. And I have the stamina to be able to do it. Like, when you start to figure out who you are, you start to say, oh, look what I've become. When I first started off, real quick, when I first started in massage school, when we first started, our first session, we held hands. We just held hands. Okay. That was the extent of our sequence, right? We held hands, and it was awkward for because you're holding hands with somebody you don't know for 30 seconds to a minute, and it was awkward. But now I've done this. I have given massages for 10 hours, 8 hours in a day. I'll give a 55-minute massage, turn the room over, change the sheets, give another massage for hours and hours, 8, 10 hours a day. Okay. So I can don't let the word get out. I'm like, I don't want her asking me for an 8-hour massage. I'm like, girl, that's too much. All right. But I can do it. I could actually do it. It would be too much on our system. But so an hour and a half, 2 hours even, I got that. See, when you start to become, it changes you, right? Like, I have in my possession, the hot rocks. I have that. I bought those. I have that investment. Why? Because I've become that person that can use rocks, warm them up, put some oil on them, and give a massage. I became the person that could help other people reach their dreams. I went on my journey. I learned from my journey. Then I said, okay, I want to help other people on their journey. I want to help people start over after life has thrown all the blows, and after life has put up all the opposition, and someone thinks that they can't. No, you can. I want to help you do that. I had to become that person that could help someone else, which meant at a certain point in my life, I had to stop doubting myself and my ability to help people. It's only a limiting belief that has you where you are right now. It's only a limiting belief that has kept you from the next level in your life. You've been growing, and there's yet a belief that you've been okay with that has kept you from the next level. And the thing about beliefs is this, we'll shut it down. Beliefs, when you meditate on them, when you think on them, when you ponder those things, your belief will establish a system, a process by which it can be duplicated. So you believe negatively, you will have a negative belief system in place. Think of a map, think of a puzzle. You'll have a system in place that supports it. But I want to encourage you that you can shift that belief, start over, and you can have a belief system that is founded in and operates with power and authority. And that system of belief will produce a completely different outcome in your life. So start with a smile and then start over. Your start over is going to begin with the smile. It's going to begin with your smile. Think of the thing. Think of the experience that you know you want that causes you to smile. And start there. All right. That's it. Nothing real technical here. I want you to start with a smile tonight. Right now, don't just go scrolling. Just start with a smile. Think about the experience that you want, and think about it. And then when you get that smile to happen, know that you have found the thing that is going to bring merriness to your heart, and that is going to be good medicine for you. When you find your smile, you find your path for healing, transformation, change. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited for me, but I'm excited for you. I'm excited for us. So I just want to encourage you tonight. Start with a smile. Start over. You're not too old. You are at the perfect age to have the experience of your life. So experience it. Experience your life. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to share this message of hope and encouragement to each person that's heard it, those that are here live, those that are part of Team Replay, those that left comments, those that just scrolled through for a second, whatever someone received, I pray that it was a blessing to them, that it would encourage them, that it would lift them up, that it has been life-changing, that there is a shift that has happened tonight where they see that a smile can be the beginning of change, that they can start over, that they're not too old, that they're actually in the right position right now to change and have the experience of their lives. And so I pray that through boldness and confidence and courage, action would be taken. That we won't just be thinking about it, but we'll do. We'll do something. We'll take the move. We'll start with the action. And we will feed life into our own beings with our activity. That we don't have to doubt, that we can have faith to move forward. And so I pray that as we move forward, I pray that you would confirm the word with proof, that as each person, they move forward in that alignment with you, that you would provide the proof and the evidence of transformation, that they won't look the same, that in the days ahead, that a year from now, a month from now, a week from now, they'll start to see themselves differently. They'll look and they'll say, I'm changing, and it's a good thing. And I pray that it would be healing for their life, for their lives, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, relationally, in every way, spiritually. I pray that there would be healing that would happen for the person that has been suffering with a broken heart and feeling discouraged and down and downtrodden. I pray that there would be change, transformation, healing, and they would stand as their strongest self. And so I thank you for these things in advance, believing that we are in alignment with your word. We count these things as done. Amen. All right. Have a fantastic evening. Unlocking Tech. Good to see you. Glad that you made it through. Have a fantastic evening, everyone. I'm B.A. Shepherd, 2 P's, A-R-D, reminding you to be a shepherd. The world has enough sheep. Smile. Start over. Love you much. See ya. You're welcome, love. Thanks, Tanil. Thank you. Thank you. What was that? SK Silky Graham? I know I mispronounced it, but I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.